Now friends, let us discuss the MCQs of chapter number 4, Special Corporate Deduction. We've already seen the theories on it, so now let's see the MCQs. Question number 1. In the current year, ABC Corporation reported a gross income from the business 5 lakhs and a dividend income 1,20,000 holding a 15% stock and reported a deductible business expense of 7 lakh. What will be NOL? They are asking a net operating loss. How much is going to be a net operating loss? Let us see. Okay, first of all, the gross business income is 5 lakhs and the business expenses are 7 lakhs. So, business income 5 lakhs. Okay, dividend income is also there. The dividend income has been 1,20,000. So, 1,20,000 dividend income less business expenses of 7 lakh. And you will receive DRD, dividend received deduction. Dividend received deduction will be, if you just see the percentage of holding, it is a 15%, and according to 15%, the DRD percentage will be 50%, 50%. Remember, up to 20% holding, then 50% DRD is to be taken. So 1,20,000 dividend received, so 50% of it will come to 60,000. Okay, fine. So now let us have a just difference of it. 5 lakhs plus 1,20,000 less 7 lakhs less 60,000. So it is coming to 1,40,000. 1,40,000 will be your NOL. Answer is A option, 1,40,000. Next, Chris, a C corporation, made a charitable contribution of 10,000 during the year. He reported a gross business income 2 lakhs and a dividend income 20,000, eligible for 50% DRD. And also his deductible business expenses were 1,30,000. How much of charitable contribution will be deductible to Chris? They are asking how much of charitable contribution will be deductible. If you remember the order of deduction, first we are taking a charitable contribution and then we are taking a DRD. So for the purpose of charitable contribution deduction, we have to ignore DRD. Just be very clear. First charitable contribution and then DRD. Okay. They are asking about the charitable contribution. So let's see. Okay. First of all, business income is 2 lakhs and dividend income is 20,000. Okay, fine. Business income is 2 lakhs plus dividend income is 20,000. So that will add. So it is coming to 2,20,000. Okay, in that you have a business expenses of 130. So we are removing business expenses 1,30,000. So 210 minus 130, it will come to 80,000. 2,10,000 minus 1,30,000 is 80,000. Okay. And then charitable contribution is at 20,000. Sorry, here it is 2,20,000. So 2,20,000 less 130, 220 less 130, 220 less 130, it is coming to 90,000. So here it will be 90. Okay. And now we need to reduce the charitable contribution. A charitable contribution, if you remember the rule, it is allowed up to 10% of taxable income. Up to 10% of taxable income. If you just make the 10% of taxable income, it will come to 9,000. And your actual charitable contribution is how much? 10,000. So whichever is lower, that's why you will get a 9,000 of charitable contribution deduction. You need to just remember the rule, 10% of taxable income or charitable contribution, whichever is lower. So you will get 9,000 as a final deduction. So 9,000 is the answer, A is option. Next, which of the following cannot be amortized for a tax purpose? Which cannot be amortized? Look at the word, which cannot be amortized for tax purpose. Incorporation cost, yes, it can be amortized. Organization meeting cost, it can be amortized. Employee salary and director fees, it can be amortized if it is a expenses before commencement of business. And stock issue expense, it is called a syndication expense. Remember the theory, it cannot be amortized, it will be capitalized. So D is the option which cannot be amortized. Kent, a C corporation, received a dividend income of 30,000 from a DART corporation where Kent holds 90% of the stock. Its taxable income is 70,000. How much DRD will be allowed to Kent? Look at this. Dividend is 30,000 and the taxable income is 70,000. Whichever is lower. So it is going to be 30,000. And what will be the percentage of DRD? You are holding 90% of the stock, which is more than 80%. That's why your DRD percentage will be 100%. So you will receive 100% DRD, that is 30,000. 30,000 is a correct option. What if in above question Kent was holding a 70% stock in the DART? If you are holding a 70% stock, then your DRD percentage will be 65%. Remember, 65%. Okay, so 65% is going to be your DRD. Fine. Then 30,000 into 65% is equal to 19,500. So you will get 19,500 of DRD. Next, Chent C Corporation incurred a legal fee for organization cost 30,000 and underwriting commission issue of shares 25,000 in June 2019. Ignoring amortization, how much cost can be deducted in 2019? Okay, first of all, if you just see, legal organization cost is going to be your organization cost, so it can be deducted in the current year up to certain limit. But underwriting commission for the issue of stock is a syndication expense. It cannot be amortized. It cannot be deducted. It will be capitalized. So this is non-deductible expense and this is deductible expense. Okay. Now, if you see the rule of organization cost deductibility, organization cost total has been incurred 30,000. Out of that, in the current year, you can deduct up to 5,000. And the balance of 25,000 will be amortized over 180 months. But in the question they have said ignoring amortization. So we are not concerned about amortization. We have to only check that what amount will be deducted in the current year except amortization. So in the current year you can deduct up to 5,000. The theory we have seen. So friends, answer will be 5,000. D option. What if in above question legal fee cost was 60,000 instead of 30,000? Okay. Now if the cost is 60,000, organization cost 60,000. Then you friends remember, in the current year you can deduct up to 5,000, but this will phase out if the organization expense is above 50,000 and it is actually 60,000. So how much it is above 50,000? That is 10,000. 60 minus 50. 60,000 minus 50,000. So 10,000 is above that. The phase out, it means fully phase out, 0. Nothing will be allowed in the current year. Full 60,000 is going to be amortized over 180 months. It means in the current year there will be no deductibility at all. Answer is 0. D is a correct option. You have to remember that phase out rule. If the expense is incurred beyond 15,000, then phase out applies. And when the expense exceeds 55,000, your deductibility is 0 at all. Krina Corporation paid a total expense of 4 lakhs during 2019. Also paid a bonus to the employees on 1st March 2020, 20,000. How much of the expense are deductible in 2019 return? Now friends, you just look at this. 4 lakh of the expense is already incurred in the current year 2019, but the 20,000 of the bonus has been paid in the next year, 1st March 2020. Friends, if you see the rule, if it is paid up to 2.5 month of the next year, 2.5 month of the next year, then you can deduct it in the current year itself. Expense paid till 2.5 month of the next year can be deducted in the current year itself. So it is paid on 1st March. That's why it is covered under 2.5 months. So it will be deducted. So 4 lakh plus 20,000, 4 lakh 20,000 will be deducted in 2019. That's the correct option. Z Corporation reported a business income of 1,20,000 and expense of 50,000. Also, it reported a dividend income 30,000. If 21% tax rate is applicable to Z, what is the tax liability? Okay, fine. Now we just see it. Business income is 1,20,000 plus dividend income is 30,000 less business expenses 50,000 and less DRD. You will receive DRD. Okay, actually here the holding percentage is not given. Then remember the theory what they had told. If the holding percentage is not given, then you need to assume less than 20% holding, and accordingly DRD percentage will be 50%. So 30,000 is a dividend, 50% DRD, so it will be 15,000. Okay, now let's have a just difference of it. 1,20,000 plus 30,000 less 50,000 less 15,000. So it is coming to 85,000. 85,000 is going to be your taxable income, and in that 21% flat rate if we apply, then 85,000 21% will be 17,850. So correct option is B option, 17,850. You need to just add all the incomes and remove DRD as well. So after removing DRD, your taxable income is coming to 85, and 21% flat rate being applicable, then tax is going to be 17,850. Next, charitable contribution in excess of the limit to be. Okay, if you have contributed more amount, then you get you are getting a limited deduction in the current year, that is up to 10% of taxable income. Then what about excess charitable contribution? Remember the theory that excess charitable contribution can be carried forward up to 5 years. So that's a D option, carry forward up to 5 years. Next, Zebra Corporation reported business income and expense of 2 lakhs and 230 respectively. Also, dividend income reported at a 60,000. What is the NOL for the year? If NOL carried forward is a 50,000. Look at this. They are asking the NOL for the year. Look at the line very carefully. They are asking NOL for the year. What will be NOL of the current year? We are not concerned about a carry forward NOL. We are just concerned about a current year NOL. Okay. Let's find out. Business income is 2 lakhs. Dividend income is 60,000. Business expense is to be reduced 2,30,000 and DRD. Now again in this question holding is not given, so we are assuming less than 20% holding and DRD will be 50%. So dividend is 60,000, that's why DRD will be 30,000 as a 50%. Okay, now if we just take a difference of it, 2 lakhs plus 60,000 less 2,30,000 less 30,000. The answer is 0. There is no NOL at all, 0. No income, no expense. It's going to be 0. The answer is D option, 0. No NOL. We are not concerned about a carry forward NOL. We are just concerned about a current year NOL. Just be very clear about the line. Next one. Core Corporation contributed an inventory whose AB is 20,000 and FMV is 30,000 to a charity. If a taxable income is 2 lakhs, how much of a contribution is deductible? Now friends, they are talking about a charitable contribution of inventory. Now there is a special rule is applicable for the contribution of property or inventory. If you remember the rule, the deduction is limited to 2 times of AB first thing, or AB plus 50% of FMV less AB. That is going to be the formula. Okay. First of all, 2 times of AB. The AB is given 20,000. So 20,000 into 2 is equal to 40,000. That is a first option. And second is a AB plus 50% of difference. So AB is a 20,000 and plus 50% of difference. So if you see FMV is 30 and AB is 20, the difference is 10,000. 50% of 10,000 is going to be 5,000. So 20 plus 5 will be 25. Okay. So 40 or 25, whichever is lower. Answer is 25,000. But again remember, deduction is limited up to 15% of taxable income for inventory or property contribution. So it is going to be 15%. What is your taxable income? That is 2 lakhs. If you make a 15% of 2 lakh, it will be 30,000. Okay, so up to 30,000 it is allowed. So answer is 25,000. That will be your final answer. 25,000 is going to be your charitable contribution deduction. Next, Sigma Corporation received a dividend of 40,000 from Cent Corporation, holding 90% of the stock. The investment was financed by 40% by a debt taken from a bank. How much of DRD is allowed to Sigma? Okay, fine. Dividend has been received 40,000 and 90% is a holding over there. So as per the 90% holding, the DRD percentage will be 100%. Fine. But there is a 40% debt financing. Debt financing is there, then DRD percentage is being reduced. So 100% will be reduced by 40%. The answer will be 60%. You will get a DRD 60%. Okay. Dividend is 40,000. So 60% of 40,000 is going to be 24,000. So answer is C option, 24,000. Again I am saying debt financing percentage will reduce the DRD percentage. That's why DRD percentage has been reduced from 100 to 60. Team Corporation reported a business income including a dividend received 50,000, 2,50,000. It reported a business expense of 1 lakh. It had a charitable contribution of 18,000. What is a net taxable income of team? They are asking a net taxable income. Okay, fine. First of all, gross income. Gross income including dividend is a 2,50,000. And business expenses. Business expenses has been given as a 1 lakh. So if we reduce, it will be 1,50,000. Okay, then we are going to reduce a charitable contribution. Now charitable contribution is actually 18,000 and it is limited up to 10% of taxable income. Taxable income 150, 10% of 150 is a 15,000. The 15,000 or 18,000, whichever is lower. So you will get a 15,000 of deduction here. Okay, then it is coming to 1,35,000. Then we need to reduce DRD, dividend received deduction percentage. Okay, for DRD again they have not given a holding, how much holding is there. So we are going to assume less than 20% and accordingly DRD will be 50%. But DRD is a 50% of what? 50% of dividend received or taxable income, whichever is lower. So dividend received is a 50,000 and taxable income is 135, whichever is lower. So 50,000. 50,000 into 20%. 50,000 into 50%. 50,000, 50% is going to be 25,000. So 135 less 25,000 is equal to 1,10,000. That is your final taxable income. Answer is 1,10,000, option A. So friends, this being the MCQs for chapter number 4. Now friends, let us see the next chapter number 5, penalty taxes. Chapter covered in the entity taxation series, chapter number 5. Okay. Penalty taxes, two types of taxes are being levied as a penalty in the nature. First is accumulated earning tax. AE tax we are saying in a short, accumulated earning tax. As a meaning suggests, it is called as accumulated earning. So if a company, if a corporation is holding too much of the earning in the form of accumulated reserves, then it will generate a tax. So the intention is very clear that the reserves should not be kept in accumulated form. It should be distributed to the shareholder as a dividend. So more you distribute a dividend to the shareholder, it will be less tax on the AE, accumulated earning. So they are saying you should hold the accumulated earning only up to certain level. Beyond the level, it is going to generate a tax. How it is? Let's see. Tax levied on undistributed income if it is in excess of normal required reserves. As I told you, it should be at a reasonable level. Reserves should be kept at a reasonable level. If you are keeping more reserves which is excess of the reasonable requirement, then it will generate a tax. AE tax formula, how it will be calculated? First of all, taxable income, then add DRD, NOL, dividend ratio deduction, NOL, both will be added. Less federal income tax, net capital loss and net STCG, these all will be reduced from it. Less net LTCG over STCL, excess of charitable contribution over 10%, this is going to be reduced. Then you will find adjusted taxable income. Then you have to reduce dividend paid up to 3.5 months from the end of the year or a consent dividend. Two things are there. Dividend actually paid in the current year as well as dividend actually paid up to 3.5 months of the next year, and a consent dividend. Consent dividend is also going to reduce. What is a consent dividend? You can see over here. Consent dividend is a hypothetical dividend which is not actually paid, but the shareholders agree to increase the base of the stock. So consent dividend means the dividend which is not actually paid, but the shareholders agree to increase the basis of the stock by that amount. That is called as a consent dividend. Then accumulated earning you will find. Less accumulated earning credit. Credit means how much accumulated earning is allowed. Look at this, the credit is given here. Accumulated earning credit is a higher of earning needed for a reasonable business need. It is a question of fact, as you can don't know what will be the required resource. So reasonable business need. Reasonable business need depends upon the level of the business, depends upon the projects, upcoming projects and everything. And second, 2,50,000 less accumulated earning at the end of the year. That will be 1,50,000 for PS Corporation. If others, then 250. If personal service corporation, then 150. So you need to remember like that way. Credit will be 2,50,000 or reasonable business need, whichever is higher. That much credit is allowed. Let's we keep 250 only for the understanding purpose. Let's say 250 of the credit is allowed and actual reserves has been kept at a 3 lakhs. Then 50,000, extra 50,000 is subject to accumulated earning tax. Okay, so if we just get a difference of it, the accumulated taxable income will be there, into tax rate will multiply, so that will give us accumulated earning tax. So these are formula you need to remember, friends, for the purpose of accumulated earning tax calculation. Okay. Similar way, there is another tax which is called a personal holding company tax, which is called as a PHC tax, personal holding company tax or PHC tax. What is that? It is applicable on undistributed income of PHC. Undistributed income of PHC only, personal holding company. PHC means a company who satisfies income test and ownership test. If a company satisfies two of the test, income test and ownership test, then it is considered as a PHC. What is that? We are going to see it. Not applicable to banks, insurance companies and finance companies. This PHC tax is not applicable to these three organizations. Just keep in mind, bank, finance company and insurance companies. These are not covered under PHC tax. Okay, now what is the income test and what is the ownership test? Income test. Income test means if PHC income constitute more than equal to 60% of AOGI, which is adjusted ordinary gross income. If PHC income is more than equal to 60% of adjusted ordinary gross income, then income test is satisfied. Now what is a AOGI? AOGI is a gross income excluding capital gain and section 1231 gain reduced by expenses incurred to earn the rent and royalty. This is going to be your AOGI. And what is a PHC income? PHC income is a income from dividend, rent, royalty, interest, etc. If you are getting an income from these sources, it is called as a PHC income. And PHC income, if it is more than equal to 60% of AOGI, then income test will be satisfied. What is the ownership test? Ownership test means more than 50% of a stock of a corporation is owned directly or indirectly by less than or equal to 5 individuals at a time in the last half of the year. More than 50% of the stock is held by 5 or less individuals, then it is considered as an ownership test. Indirect holding includes a holding by a spouse, brother, sister, ascendant and descendant. So indirect holding is also allowed, direct or indirect. Anyway, it should be hold less than equal to 5 individuals should hold more than 50%. So if both these tests are satisfied, then it will be considered as a PHC and PHC tax will be levied. Okay, now PHC tax formula, how it is going to be calculated? It's almost similar to AE tax. So almost similar formula. Taxable income plus DRD NOL less federal income tax and net LTCG less excess charitable contribution over 10%, then we'll get adjusted taxable income. Less dividend paid during the year, dividend paid up to 3.5 months from the end of the year up to 20% of actual dividend. Look at this. Consent dividend and deficiency dividend. See, above 3 we have already seen in the AE tax also, that is actual dividend in the current year, dividend paid up to 3.5 months of the next year and consent dividend. These 3 were common between AE tax and PHC tax. One additional dividend is given in the PHC tax, that is a deficiency dividend. And what is a deficiency dividend? Look at this. Deficiency dividend is a dividend declared only to avoid a tax and which is paid within 90 days of tax imposition. Look at the word. It is paid only to avoid a tax liability, because see, as you can see, if you distribute the dividend, then PHC tax will not be levied. So if there is accumulated earning and you are agreeing to pay dividend to avoid a tax liability, it is considered as a deficiency dividend. Means you could not pay the dividend in the current year and you now want to pay dividend to avoid a tax liability, that is called as a deficiency dividend. But however, it should be paid within 90 days of the tax imposition, then it will be allowed. Okay, and after reducing all these, you will get undistributed PHC income into tax rate is equal to PHC tax. So this is a formula. If you see, it's almost similar formula with the AE tax. Certain things are being extra there and some changes. Remaining, it's the same thing. So this being the theory for a penalty taxes, 2 types of taxes being levied: accumulated earning tax and personal holding company tax. Both are, the concept is same on accumulated earning. So if you keep more reserves, if you keep more amount in the form of retained earning, then it will generate a tax. So you should keep a reserves only up to a reasonable business need and remaining should be distributed to the shareholders. Otherwise, it will generate a tax to you. Now friends, let us see the MCQs of this chapter number 5, penalty taxes. We have seen already the theory. Now we need to see the MCQs. Question number 1. Which of the following test is to be satisfied for AE tax? For accumulated earning tax, which test is to be followed? Income test, ownership test? No, none of these tests are required. These tests are to be followed for PHC tax, not for AE tax. Remember it? So answer is none of above. Which of the following deduction will not be allowed to calculate AE tax? Which will not be allowed to calculate AE tax? Friends, you remember DRD will be added back. So it means this deduction is not allowed. That's why DRD will not be allowed. Federal income tax we are reducing, net capital loss we are reducing, and dividend paid in the current year we are also reducing. So only DRD is not allowed, remaining are allowed. Next, Zeta Corporation's adjusted taxable income is a 5 lakhs. Dividend paid by Zeta during 2019 is a 1 lakh and dividend paid on February 2020 is 50,000. How much income will be subject to accumulated earning tax? Okay, fine. Out of 5 lakhs, you have paid a dividend of 1,50,000. Remember, dividend paid in current year as well as dividend paid up to 3.5 months of the next year will be allowed. So this 50,000 paid in February 2020 will also be allowed in 2019 itself. Okay. So if you remove this, it will come to 3,50,000. And out of that, reasonable business need of 2,50,000 we are assuming is general. So that will be allowed. So remaining 1 lakh will be subject to AE tax. So 1 lakh is a correct answer, A option. Which of the following is not allowed for accumulated earning tax calculation? Dividend paid during the year, it is allowed. Dividend paid up to 3.5 months from the end of the year, it is also allowed. Consent dividend is also allowed. Deficiency dividend is not allowed for AE tax, it is allowed only for PHC tax. So D is a correct option. A corporation has a gross income, a gross receipt of 1 lakh including interest, dividend income of 75,000. Is it applicable? Is it liable to PHC tax? Okay, if we think about income test, then income test says that PHC income should be more than 60% of AOGI. The AOGI is 1 lakh and in that PHC income, that is in dividend income is 75,000, which is 75%. It is more than 60%. So it is going to be applied. Fine. So answer is C. Yes, it is passive income or PHC income is more than 60% of gross receipt. So that's why it is applicable as a PHC tax. X corporation's 30% stock is owned by A and 25% stock is owned by a spouse, and the remaining by 100 other unrelated individuals, whether it is liable to PHC tax. If we talk about the ownership test, then ownership test says that more than 50% of the stock should be owned by an individual or a directly or indirectly. So we can say here 30% stock is owned by A and 25% by a spouse, that is more than 50% stock is owned by two individuals only who are related to each other. That's why it is satisfying the ownership test, and that's why that will be eligible liable for PHC tax. Two individuals who are related owning more than 50% stock. That's why PHC tax is applicable. What if in about 25% of the stock was held by his brother-in-law instead of spouse? If brother-in-law is there, it is called unrelated individual. So it will not satisfy the test of ownership. That's why PHC tax will not be levied. Deficiency dividend is to be paid within how many period for a tax imposition? If you think about the deficiency dividend we discussed right now, okay, it is to be paid within a period of 90 days from the tax imposition. The answer is C option, within 90 days. So this being MCQs for chapter number 5. Now friends, let us see the next chapter number 6, taxation of related corporation. Taxation of related corporation we are going to discuss. In the related corporation, actually two different related corporation we need to see. One is affiliated group and another is a control group. First, let us see the affiliated group. What is affiliated group? It means one corporation own more than equal to 80% of a voting power of another corporation. One corporation owns more than equal to 80% of voting power of another corporation and hold more than 80% of total value of shares on each day of the year. More than equal to 80% voting power as well as more than equal to 80% of total value of stock on each year, on the each day of the year. These two conditions has to be fulfilled. Holding may be directly or indirectly through other corporations. So direct holding is allowed, indirect is allowed, any way it can be. For example, A to B 85%, A to C 60% and B to C 30%. So A, B and C are affiliated groups. Now if you just see the situation, A is holding into B 85, B is holding into C 30 and A is holding into C 60. So if you consider A and B as an affiliated group, then A and B both holding into the C, that is 60 plus 30, 90%. So this is also affiliated group. So A, B and C all will be considered as affiliated group members. So indirect holding is also allowed. Clear? Consolidated return filing. Members of affiliated group may file a consolidated return. The persons who are affiliated group, they can file a consolidated return. Reason to be unanimous. That is 100% consent is needed of all the members who are into affiliated group. Reason is irrevocable. That means it applies to all the future years. Once you decide for consolidated return, it will be applicable for all the years. Tax liability is joint and several. Whatever tax liability generates, that will be paid jointly, severally. They are jointly and severally liable. Tax years of all the members to be equal to the parent corporation. The main corporation who is holding in other corporation is a parent corporation, and tax year of all the member has to be equal to parent corporation tax year. Not allowed to foreign corporation, S corporation, exempt corporation and insurance corporation. These are being excluded from affiliated group. Benefits of consolidated return. If you are filing a consolidated return, then what are the benefits of filing it? Let's see. Intercompany gains or losses will be eliminated. Let's say A, B and C are three corporations who are into affiliated group. A sold the goods to B at a profit, B sold the goods to C at a profit, then that internal profits will be eliminated in the consolidated return. Set off of losses of one corporation against the gains of other member corporation. There is a big advantage. Let's say A corporation has a gain and B and C corporation has a loss. Then the loss of B and C can be set off against the gain of A corporation and the net gain will be subject to tax. Gain or loss on the intercompany transaction recognized only when sold to the outside group. Means let us say A sold goods to B who are in related parties, that is affiliated group, so no profit will be recognized. B sold to C who is also related party, so no gain will be recognized. But C sold to D who is unrelated, outsider, then the gain will be recognized at this time. So intercompany transaction gain is not going to be recognized who are a member of affiliated group, but when it is sold to outside group, then only gain will be recognized. So these are benefit of consolidated return. Now controlled group, what is a controlled group? Consists of parent subsidiary or brother sister group. What is a parent subsidiary corporation? It means a stock owning more than 80% of the voting right of all the kind of shares, or a stock representing more than 80% of value of the right of all the kind of shares held by one or more corporations. And common parent holding is more than 80%. Means the one or more corporations should own more than 80% of the other corporation, then it is considered as a parent subsidiary relationship, like a holding company, holding subsidiary, that's a relationship they want to say. And brother sister group, stock owning more than 80% of the voting right of all the kind of shares, or the stock representing more than 80% of the value of right of all the kind of shares held by 5 or less individuals. 5 or less individuals should own more than 80% of the voting stock or a value of stock of other corporation. And the common holding to be more than equal to 50%. The test is applied on the last day of the year. Look at this. Total holding should be more than 80% and common holding should be more than equal to 50%. Only one accumulated earning credit is allowed among the controlled group, and only one section 179 expense of is allowed among the control group. See, these two limitations are being applied if you are a member of controlled group. Only one accumulated earning credit of 2,50,000 will be allowed to any one of the member at the option of them, and section 179 expense of is only allowed to one of them. So these are limitation when you are into a control group, just be clear about it. So first of all, if you identify whether it is a control group, and if it is, then this two limitation has to be taken care very seriously. So just be clear about the theory. This is chapter number 6. Now friends, let us see the MCQs of chapter number 6, taxation of related corporation. First, to be eligible as a member of affiliated group, what is the minimum holding required by a corporation in another corporation? Okay. For affiliated group, what is the holding percentage? That is 80%. 80% or more. That is going to be C option is the correct answer. A corporation hold 85% in C corporation, 50% in B corporation, while C corporation hold 40% in B corporation. Who will be member of affiliated group? Okay, fine. Let's see. A is holding into C 85%. So they are directly affiliated group members. A is holding into B 50%, so it is not directly affiliated, but C is also holding 40% in B. So combined holding of both into B is equal to 90%. That's why B is also considered as a affiliated group. So A, B and C, all three will be considered as a member of affiliated group. That's why answer is D option. Which of the following is not true regarding consolidated return filing? Okay. Decision to file a consolidated return should be unanimous of all the members. Yes, it is true. Decision applies to all the future year. It is also true. Tax liability in a consolidated return lies only on the parent company. No, it is false. Because liability will be joint and several of all the members. So that's why C is a correct option. Who of the following are eligible for a consolidated return filing? Who is eligible for consolidated return filing? Foreign corporation? Yes. S corporation? Yes. Insurance corporation? Yes. It means all the three are excluded. If you remember, all the three are excluded, not allowed to file a consolidated return. This being the exclusion, so that's why none of above will be eligible to file a consolidated return. A, B and C are the members of an affiliated group. They reported a gain or loss as A 40,000 gain, B 35,000 loss and C 25,000 loss. What will be net gain or loss in the consolidated return? They are filing a consolidated return, and in the consolidated return, the gain of one corporation can be set off against the loss of other corporation. So there is a gain of 40 and loss of 35 and 25. So if you just make it out, 35 plus 25, 60 is a loss and 40 is a gain. So net 20,000 is going to be loss. So answer is D option, 20,000 loss will be the net result in the consolidated return. Next, X corporation is holding a 90% in Y corporation. X received a dividend of 30,000 from Y in 2019. They decided to file a consolidated return. How much of dividend income is to be reported in a consolidated return? Okay, fine. They are receiving a dividend from an affiliated group member. 90% holding is there, so more than 80% there is affiliated group. Dividend received intercompany transaction, intercompany gain or loss in affiliated group member is not to be recognized, as we know. So income is to be reported as a zero. No income is to be reported. Which of the following are considered as a member of controlled group? Member of controlled group. Friends, you know that a parent subsidiary relationship is also a control group, and brother sister is also considered as a control group. So both of above are a member of are considered as a controlled group persons. To be eligible as a brother sister entity, how much of the minimum common holding is required? Look at what common holding. How much of common holding is required? That is 50%. Common holding is 50% and total holding has to be more than 80%. Which of the following is a disability of a member of controlled group? Member of controlled group disability. First, only one AE credit is allowed among all the members of a control group. Yes, it is a limitation. Only one entity is allowed depreciation as per Markers. No, that is false. Markers is allowed to all. AE credit limitation is there. That's why answer is A only. So A is a limitation of members of control group. So these being MCQs for chapter number 6. Now friends, let us see the next chapter number 7, that is a distribution from a corporation. When a corporation is distributing the property or a cash to the shareholder, what is the treatment of it? See, the distribution may be either treated as a dividend distribution to the shareholder, or it can be treated as a distribution of capital. So what it is, you need to consider very carefully whether the distribution is a dividend or whether it is return of capital. So accordingly the treatment will be given. For that, first of all, we need to learn what is the earning and profit. Earning and profit is a very important to calculation for the corporation. To determine dividend income of the shareholder, earning and profit of corporation must be known. How it will be calculated? Taxable income plus what will be added? Municipal interest, life insurance proceed, dividend received deduction, and deduction claimed by a carry forward from a previous years. These much things will be added. Reduce. What will be reduced from it? Federal income tax, related party losses, disallowed mill cost. You remember 50% of the cost is allowed and 50% is disallowed. So that disallowed mill cost will be reduced, and penalties, fines, lobbying expense, insurance premium of a key person, all these will be reduced from a taxable income. Then timing differences which will be added. Installment sale gain, that is a full gain over a recognized gain. If you are following an installment system, then you will be recognizing the gain on the installment system, but there will be full gain to be recognized, less installment gain what is recognized. The difference is going to be added. Depreciation over SLM, section 179 expense of all these will be added. And what timing difference will be reduced? That is a net capital loss and excess of charitable contribution. This all being reduced as a timing difference. After all these addition and deduction, you will get earning and profit. And this earning and profit is a very important calculation, because based on that, the tax treatment of distribution will be decided. Okay, reduction of earning and profit by a distribution. Earning and profit is reduced by a distribution. How? Let us see. Cash distribution. If a corporation is distributing cash to the shareholder, then that will reduce. Distribution of a property, reduce ENP by higher of FMV or adjusted basis, less liability assumed by the shareholder. Means if the corporation is distributing property to the shareholder, then ENP will be reduced by the amount higher of adjusted base or FMV, less liability assumed. If there is a liability on the property and which has been assumed by the shareholder, that will be reduced. Gain on distribution of the property first added to the earning and profit and then reduce the ENP by the value of property. So what they want to say, let us see. ENP of the corporation is a 5,000 and the corporation distributed a property to the shareholder whose adjusted basis is 6,000 and FMV is, let us say, 9,000. Then the difference of 3,000 is a gain. The 3,000 of gain will be added here. So now ENP will become 8,000 and out of 8,000 there is a property distribution of 9,000. So 8,000 will be considered as a ENP distribution and remaining 1,000 will be considered as an extra distribution. What you need to understand is gain on the distribution of property will be added to ENP and then it will be reduced by the value of the property distributed. Dividend treatment. Distribution up to ENP is considered as a dividend income and balance distribution first reduce the basis of the stock and then treated as a capital gain. Okay, now what they want to say? Distribution received from a corporation will be treated as a dividend income to the shareholder up to ENP. Means distribution from a corporation up to earning and profit will be treated as a dividend income, and balance distribution will be treated as a reduction in the basis of the stock, and once the basis becomes zero, the remaining will be treated as a capital gain to the shareholder. This is, we have already discussed at the time of individual taxation, but it's a repetition once again. So distribution from a corporation up to earning and profit is a dividend income straight away. Balance distribution will first reduce the basis of the stock, and once the basis becomes zero, the remaining distribution is considered as a capital gain. So that's why ENP calculation is important. Different situations for a distribution treatment. Okay, now there are two words being coming into picture, that is AEP and CEP. Now what is that? Let's see. Friends, CEP, that means current year earning and profit. Current year earning and profit. And AEP, that is called accumulated earning and profit, or we can say opening balance of earning and profit. So CEP and AEP to be understood like this. CEP means the current year earning and profit, and AEP means the accumulated earning and profit, that is at the opening balance of ENP. Okay. Now different situation being there. First situation, CEP and AEP both are negative. Second situation, CEP and AEP both are positive. Third situation, CEP is positive but AEP is negative. And fourth situation, CEP is negative but AEP is positive. Now this fourth situation we need to understand for the purpose of dividend treatment. Okay, first situation, if both are negative, CEP, AEP both are negative, then whatever may be the distribution amount will be considered as a return of capital. Means nothing is going to be treated as a dividend income. All distribution will be considered as a return of capital, so it will reduce the basis of the shareholder, and once the basis becomes zero, remaining will be capital gain. Nothing will be dividend income if both are negative. There is a simple answer. If both are positive, CEP, AEP both are positive, then distribution will be considered as dividend income up to CEP and AEP both. Distribution will be considered as a dividend income up to CEP, AEP both, and remaining distribution will be considered as a return of capital, which will reduce the basis of the stock, and then it will become a capital gain. So both are positive, then up to CEP and AEP it is considered as a dividend, and remaining is a return of capital. Now if CEP is positive but AEP is negative, then look at this. Distribution will be considered as a dividend up to CEP, and balance will be considered as a return of capital. Be very clear, you are not going to net of it. CEP is positive, AEP is negative, so up to CEP it is considered as a dividend income, and remaining it is going to be return of capital. But if CEP is negative and AEP is positive, then you need to net off them. Let's just, for example, CEP is a 1000 negative and AEP is 5000 positive, then you will net off it, and it will be net 4000 of earning and profit. Then distribution will be considered as a dividend up to 4000, and balance will be considered as a return of capital. Look at this. Here it was CEP positive and AEP negative. So up to CEP is a straight away dividend, no netting off. But if CEP is negative and AEP is positive, then you need to net off them, and the net amount of earning will be considered as a dividend, remaining is considered as a return of capital. So this situation should be taken care very seriously. Okay. Look at this. Here they have given different situation as we discussed. CEP, AEP both are negative, then it is a full distribution, is treated as a distribution to the shareholder, that is a return of capital, not a dividend, and reduces the basis of the stock, and balance is a capital gain. If both are positive, then it is dividend up to CEP and first from CEP and then from AEP, but both will be considered as a dividend. But this is a chronology. First CEP, then AEP. If CEP is a positive but AEP is a negative, then it is a dividend up to CEP and balance is a distribution of property, that is a return of capital. CEP negative, AEP positive, then dividend up to net AEP, that is CEP minus AEP, you need to net of it. Okay, now CEP deficiency is allocated on the basis of time of dividend distribution. Means if there is a negative CEP, then it will be distributed based on the time. Like let's say during the year 2019, there has been a CEP negative of 4,000 and there was AEP positive of let us say 12,000. Now there was a distribution of let's say 6,000. Distribution is, let us say, made on 31st March 2019. Then for the year 2019, CEP is a negative 4,000. So we need to just consider up to 31st March 19. That is the first quarter. The first quarter CEP will be 1,000 only. 1,000 negative if we consider as per the time of distribution. First 3 months, so it is a negative 1,000. So out of 6,000, 1,000 is considered as a return of capital. Why? Because it is negative 1,000. So it will be considered as a return of capital and remaining 5,000 will be considered as a AEP. So it is going to be dividend because AEP is a positive 12,000. So it is going to be a dividend income. So out of 6,000, 1,000 will be return of capital and 5,000 will be dividend income. So just be very clear according to time. And if there are more than one distribution in a year, then CEP distribution in the proportion of amount of dividend. If there are more than one distribution in a year, then you need not to consider based on time, but you need to consider based on the amount of dividend. On that proportion, you need to distribute CEP. AEP is allocated on a chronological order. There is nothing like a proportionate is going to be in a chronological order, first come first serve basis. So it will be that. Property distribution treated as a dividend income. If property has been distributed to the shareholder, then it will be treated as a dividend income. How much? FMV of the property less liability assumed by the shareholder. Adjusted base of property to the shareholder will be FMV of the property. Corporation has to recognize a gain on the distribution of property will be equal to higher of FMV or a liability assumed by the shareholder less adjusted base of the property. This is going to be gain recognized by shareholder when the property is distributed to the shareholder. So this being the theory for chapter number 7. Let us see the MCQs of chapter number 7, distribution from a corporation. Question number 1, which of the following is not to be added? Okay, which of the following is not to be added to the taxable income to calculate earning and profit of a corporation? They are asking not to be added. Which will not be added? Okay, municipal interest, yes, it will be added. Federal income tax, it is reduced. Life insurance proceed is added and DRD is added. So answer is a federal income tax. It is not added but it is reduced from it. So answer is B, federal income tax. Next question, which of the following will be reduced from the taxable income to calculate ENP? Which will be reduced? That is a question. Related party loss, yes, it will be reduced. DRD, no, it is added back. Installment sale gain, it is added back. And section 179 expense of it is also added back. So answer is A, that is a related party loss which will be reduced. Next, A corporation has a earning and profit for 2019 is 80,000. It distributed case 20,000 and a property whose AB is 30 and FMV 40,000 to the shareholder. How much earning and profit will be reduced for this distribution? Okay, 80,000 is earning and profit reported, case distribution 20,000 and property distribution AB 30 and FMV 40. So how much earning and profit will be reduced for this, the question being asked. Friends, case distribution 20,000 will reduce the ENP as well as property distribution will also reduce the ENP, but property distribution reduces the ENP by AB or FMV whichever is higher. That's why it will be 40,000. So 40 and 20, total 60,000 of the ENP will be reduced. Answer is C option. Next, X corporation reported an earning of 20,000 for the year 2019 it distributed a land to the shareholder whose adjusted basis is 30,000 and FMV is 35,000. How much will be considered as a dividend income? Okay, fine. Now you can see here, there is a AB is 30 and FMV is 35,000. The property is distributed to the shareholder. So there is a gain and the gain will be added to the ENP first. Okay, right now your ENP is 20,000. Into that the gain will be added. If you see the gain, 35 minus 30 is equal to 5,000. 5,000 is a gain over there. So your ENP will now become 25,000. And distribution amount is 35,000, which is FMV. So out of 35,000, 25,000 is up to ENP. So it will be considered as a dividend income and remaining is a return of capital. So answer is B, 25,000. You need to see very carefully. Original ENP was 20,000, but the distributed property has a gain. That gain is added to the current ENP, and that's why ENP has become 25,000, and accordingly it will be a dividend part. Shareholder as a basis in the stock of 10,000, a corporation has accumulated earning and current earning and profit of negative 5,000 and 15,000. Both are negative. Current ENP and accumulated earning both are negative. Corporation distributed cash 8,000 to the shareholder. How much will be treated as a dividend? Okay. Now, as you can see, both are negative. So, whatever distribution is given is considered as a return of capital. It will not be considered as a dividend. So, answer is 0. Nothing is going to be treated as a dividend. Next, current ENP reported as a 5,000 and accumulated earning and profit at 10,000. Corporation distributed cash 12,000. How much is considered as a dividend? Okay, both are positive. CEP is 5,000 and AEP is 10,000. Both are positive. Total 15,000 of earning and profit is there, and 12,000 has been a cash distribution. The full 12,000 is considered as a dividend. So answer is C option. Current earning and profit is a 1,000 and accumulated earning and profit is 800 negative. So CEP is positive and AEP is negative. Corporation distributed 500 to the shareholders. How much is considered as a dividend income? Okay, fine. You remember, if CEP is positive and AEP is negative, then up to CEP it is considered as a dividend distribution. Remaining is a return of capital. So distribution is 500 only, while CEP is 1,000. So 500 it will be considered as a dividend income. So answer is C option. Next, current earning and profit negative 500, accumulated earning and profit 800, and corporation distributed 600 to the shareholders. How much will be considered as a dividend income? Now you see, CEP is negative and AEP is positive. So in that case, you need to net off both of them. If you net off all this, then 800 minus 500, 300 is going to be final earning and profit. And distribution has been 600. So out of 600, 300 will be considered as a dividend income and remaining will be return of capital. The answer is 300, D option. Next, corporation distributed a land with an adjusted basis 5,000 and FMV 8,000, mortgage outstanding 10,000. How much of gain is to be recognized by a corporation? Acha, gain is to be recognized by a corporation. In that you remember the formula, FMV or debt assumed, whichever is higher. Now FMV is 8,000, debt assumed is 10,000. So whichever is higher means 10,000 less adjusted basis. Adjusted basis is 5,000. So I am reducing 5,000. Answer is net 5,000. So 5,000 is going to be gain recognized by a corporation, C option. Next, shareholder received a property from a corporation having a FMV of 1,000 and AB of 800. There was a debt outstanding 300 which is assumed by a shareholder. How much is recognized as a dividend income by the shareholder? Okay. Now, how much to be recognized as a dividend and property distribution? If you remember the formula, then it will be FMV or AB, whichever is higher, that is 1,000 less debt assumed 300. So answer is coming 700. So 700 will be considered as a dividend income to the shareholder. Answer is C option. In the above question, what will be adjusted basis of the property received by the shareholder? Adjusted basis of the property received by the shareholder, you remember the theory, adjusted basis of the property for the shareholder is nothing but a FMV. And FMV of the property is a 1,000, the answer is A option. That is going to be AB of the property received. Corporation reported a current deficiency of 1,200 during 2019 and accumulated earning of 5,000. So CEP is negative and AEP is a positive. During the year, a corporation distributed 2,000 on 30 April 2019. How much is considered as a dividend income? Okay, fine. Now, 30 April 2019 distribution of 2,000 has been given. So, you need to allocate the CEP on the basis of time. Look at this, CEP is at 1,200. So, up to 30 April, that means 4 month CEP. Okay, total 1200 of negative CEP is there. Out of that we need to consider 4 months CEP, so it is going to be 400. 400 of negative CEP will be allocated to the distribution. Distribution amount is 2000. So out of 2000, 400 will be considered as out of CEP, that is considered as a return of capital, and balance 1600 is going to be out of AEP, that is a dividend income. So they are asking how much will be dividend income. Answer is 1600. Again, I am saying when the time is given, you need to allocate the CEP on the basis of time, and accordingly it is going to be 4 month 400. 400 of the distribution is considered out of CEP, negative CEP, so that is return of capital, and remaining is considered as a dividend income out of AEP. Distribution from a corporation cannot be treated as which of the following by the shareholder? What cannot be treated as a distribution? Okay, dividend income, yes, it can be dividend income up to ENP. Capital loss, no, it can never be capital loss. It can be dividend income, it can be return of capital, it can be treated as a capital gain, but it can never be a capital loss. The answer is B option. A corporation hold a property with the AB 400 and FMV 700. The corporation distributed the property to the shareholder. How much gain is to be recognized by a corporation? Okay, fine. Very simple. Adjusted base is a 400 and FMV is 700. So there is a appreciation in the property of 300. So 300 of the gain is to be recognized. Answer is B option. That's a very simple question. So these being MCQs for chapter number 7. Now friends, let us discuss the next chapter number 8, corporate redemption and liquidation. This is again chapter number 8 in the entity taxation series. Now we are discussing on the corporation part only. So this chapter number 8 is a corporate redemption and liquidation. Now how it will work and what is the concept? Let us see. I would say whenever a corporation distributes anything, distribution from a corporation to a shareholder. Now it may be treated as redemption of share capital, or it can be treated as dividend distribution. Now we need to identify very clearly that distribution from a corporation to a shareholder is redemption of capital or it is a dividend distribution. If it is a redemption of share capital, then it will reduce the basis of the stock for the shareholder and remaining will be treated as a capital gain. But if it is a dividend distribution, then it will be straight away dividend income to the shareholder. So friends, we need to be very careful about distribution from a corporation, whether it is a redemption or whether it is a dividend distribution. So we need to see some rules when to treat it as a dividend distribution, when to treat it as a redemption of the share capital. So let us see on it. Okay. Redemption. Redemption means repurchase of stock by a corporation from a shareholder. See, whatever stock has been issued by a corporation to a shareholder, if a corporation is purchasing back the shares, the stock from the shareholder and paying some amount, that is called as redemption. Let's say you are a shareholder of a corporation and the corporation is distributing money or distributing property to you and you are giving your stock back to the corporation, that is called as a redemption. Repurchase of stock can be treated either as a sale of stock, that is a redemption, or it will be treated as a dividend distribution, as I told you. So whenever there is a distribution of the property from a corporation to the shareholder, it is to be treated either as a sale of stock, that is a redemption, or it will be treated as a dividend distribution. Okay, if distribution is treated as a redemption, then shareholder may reduce the basis of the stock first and balance is treated as a capital gain. As I told you, when it is a redemption, then shareholder will reduce the basis and remaining is a capital gain for the shareholder. But if the distribution is treated as a dividend distribution, then the treatment is same as a dividend income. It is straight away dividend income, no reduction in the basis. It's straight away dividend income, so shareholder has to pay tax on all the distribution as a dividend income. So it's very important to know the distribution is a redemption or distribution is a dividend distribution. So let's see. For a redemption to be considered as a sale, that is treated as a redemption, purchase of stock, one of the following condition must be fulfilled. Distribution of property from a corporation to the shareholder may be treated as a redemption, that is a sale of stock, if any one of the following condition is fulfilled. There are three conditions given. First, distribution is equal to need. Now what is a need? Need full form is not essentially equivalent to dividend. If distribution is not essentially equivalent to dividend, then it will be considered as a sell. Need is a question of fact. Need is presumed where there is a major reduction in the right of the shareholder. When a corporation distributes a property and after distribution of property there is a major reduction in the stock holding of the shareholder, then it is considered as a need. It means it will not be considered as a dividend, it will be considered as a redemption of shares. Second condition, disproportionate reduction. What is a disproportionate reduction? Shareholder hold less than 80% of the shares that were held before redemption, and he hold less than 50% of the total voting stock after redemption. Two conditions has to be fulfilled. He should hold less than 80% of what originally he was holding, and his total holding after the redemption should be less than 50%. Then it is considered as a disproportionate reduction. Let's say, for example, a shareholder X and a corporation A corporation. A corporation's total share capital is 1 lakh. Out of that, X is holding 60,000. It means 60% holding is with X. Now, A corporation has distributed the property is worth 20,000 to X, and X given up his stock worth 15,000. Stock worth 15,000. Can it be considered as a redemption or it will be considered as a dividend? Let's see. Two conditions has to be fulfilled. Okay, previously he was holding 60,000. Now he has returned the stock of 15,000. So now his holding is 45,000. Okay. Now if I check the percentage, 45,000 divided by 60,000, it is coming to 75,000. It means now he is holding 75,000. So his holding is less than 80% of what he was holding previously. First condition has been fulfilled. And second condition, after redemption, his total holding has to be less than 50%. Okay, previously it was 60, now it is 45. And what is the total stock of the corporation? Okay, out of 1,15,000 will be reduced, so it will be 85,000. Okay, 50% of 85,000. 50% of 85,000 is 42,500. Is he holding less than 42,500? No, he is still holding 45,000. It is more than 42,500. So his holding is not less than 50%. That means he is holding more than 50%. So it will not be considered as a disproportionate reduction. And that's why it will be considered as a dividend income. Okay, and friends, a third condition is a complete termination. Now, what is a complete termination? Shareholder surrender total stock owned by him. That's very simple. If total of the stock has been surrendered by the shareholder to the corporation, then it is a complete termination. Family attribution to be waived by a specific agreement. That means if a shareholder is surrendering all the shares owned by him, but his family member is holding some of the stock in that corporation, that family attribution has to be waived. Now, what is a family attribution? We'll see in the later section. But see, family attribution, if I simply say, then the stock owned by a family member is considered as a stock owned by shareholder. So, shareholder has to waive the family attribution. How it will be? Let's see. Taxpayer not to buy any stock in the corporation up to next 10 years. That is the first condition. He will not control the corporation in any manner. That is the second condition. He has to agree that he will not control the corporation in any manner up to next 10 years. And if the agreement is violated before 10 years, then it is treated as a void ab initio. Let's look at this. He has to agree that he will not purchase the shares of that corporation up to 10 years, or he will not control the corporation in any manner till next 10 years. And if this agreement is violated before 10 years, then it will be void ab initio and tax will be levied at the time of the transaction happened. So it is void ab initio. Retrospective effect will be given. So friends, consider these three situations. If any of these three situations is there, then the distribution will be considered as a redemption, that is a sale of stock, and it will not be considered as a dividend. First, distribution is not essentially equivalent to dividend. Second, disproportionate reduction. And third, complete termination. Now next, attribution. What is the attribution rule? As I told you, the stock owned by relatives, the families is considered as a stock owned by you. That is an indirect holding. That is called attributes. For the purpose of redemption test, the stock holding includes the direct or indirect holding. Indirect holding is considered as an attribution rule. Indirect holding determined through the attribution rule. Okay, first is a family attribution. What is a family attribution? Stock owned by a spouse, child, grandchild, parents is deemed to be owned by a taxpayer. Look at this. Shareholders, family member, that is a spouse, child, grandchild, parents. If they are holding a stock of a corporation, that is assumed that the stock is owned by a shareholder. So indirect holding by a family member is considered as a holding by the shareholder. So that you need to consider as a family attribution. Holding by siblings is not included. Look at this. Brothers and sisters. Siblings holding is not included. You need to remember the family meaning here. So it's very important. Owned by a spouse, child, grandchild, parents are considered as a attributes rule, but the sibling holding is not subject to attribution rule. Okay, now entity attribution. What is the entity attribution? For a corporation, if I talk for a corporation, then entity to owner. Entity to owner means corporation's holding included in the shareholders holding proportionate, that is up to the holding percentage. If shareholder hold more than 50% in a corporation, nothing is included if the shareholder hold less than 50%. Okay, what they want to say? Mr. A and X corporation. A is holding 60% into X corporation. X corporation is holding, let us say 30% into Y corporation. And A is holding 20% into Y corporation. Then what we can say? A's holding into Y corporation will be 20%, that's a direct, and 30% is held by X corporation to Y corporation. Now proportionate will be included. Okay, how much is the holding of A into X corporation? That is 60%. So X into Y, that is 30%. So 60% of 30% we need to make, that is 18%. So 18% will be deemed as a hold by A into Y corporation additionally. So 20 plus 18, it will be considered as a 38%. Again I am saying 20% direct holding plus 60% of this 30% holding. So it is 18% will be additionally assumed to be held by A into Y corporation. So 20 plus 18, 38% is considered as a holding of A into Y corporation. So 38% is your answer. Okay, same way owner to entity. Shareholder holding included in the corporation holding 100%, no proportionate. Look at this. It means if you have to decide how much is a holding of X corporation to Y corporation, okay, direct holding of 30% is there, that is straight away, and A is holding into Y corporation 20%, so that will be full 20% included, so that is 50%. Look at this. For X corporations holding into Y corporation, we are not making it proportionate. 30% direct and 20% of A's holding. So total is a 50% considered as a X corporation holding into Y corporation. That's a deemed one. But if I talk about A's holding into Y corporation, then I am making a proportionate. But if I am talking about X corporations holding into Y corporation, then there is no proportionate. Full amount is to be included. Must consider this point. Next is for partnership and a trust. Partnership and a trust. Entity to owner. Partnership or a trust holding is included in the partners holding proportionately. 50% ownership rule do not apply. Look at this. In the corporation, what we see, the owner must be holding more than 50% of the stock into the corporation. Then only attribution rules apply. But for a partnership and a trust, 50% rule is not applicable. So any percentage of holding you do have in the partnership, the proportionate holding will be included. Okay, let's see. Mr. A and ABC partnership. Now A is, let us say, 20% partner into ABC partnership. A is holding 30% into X corporation and ABC partnership is holding 40% into X corporation. Now if I want to decide how much is A's holding into X corporation, then 30% is direct, so that is going to be there, plus ABC corporation's 40% holding into it, it will be proportionate. So 40 into 20% is equal to 8%. So it will be 38% like that way. Fine. So A corporation's holding into A's holding into X corporation is equal to 30% direct plus deemed attribution rule. ABC partnerships holding into X corporation 40%, 20% of it is going to be 8, so 30 plus 8 is equal to 38%. Fine, so that way. Now here you can see it's a 20% holding only, then also we included the attribution because here 50% rule is not applicable. Okay, now owner to entity, that means a partner or members holding included in the partnership or a trust 100%, that is no proportionate. Same way, if we need to decide ABC partnerships holding percentage into X corporation, so 40% direct and 30% by A. So 40 plus 30 is equal to 70%. The 70% holding will be considered as a ABC into X corporation. There is nothing going to be proportionate, it is going to be total holding included into that. So you need to remember, friends, entity to owner and owner to entity, that's a two scenario they are giving. Entity to owner it will be proportionate and owner to entity it is going to be full, no proportionate. Okay. Now, consequences to a corporation on a distribution of a property. When the corporation is distributing property, what will be the consequence? What will be the result of it? Corporation has to recognize a gain on the appreciated property. That is FMV less AB. If FMV is more than the adjusted basis, then difference is to be recognized as a gain. Depreciation recapture also apply, as we have seen into section 1245, section 1250 recapture. The rule is also applicable here. However, loss not to be recognized. Gain is to be recognized, loss is not to be recognized. Be very clear. Means if FMV is less than AB, then you will not recognize a loss. Corporation to reduce ENP for a redemption. If it is, how ENP will be reduced? How much ENP will be reduced for a corporation on a distribution of property? As we told, the distribution can be treated as a redemption or it can be treated as a dividend. So if it is treated as a redemption, then ENP will be reduced by lower of proportionate ENP up to stock redeemed or amount of redemption, whichever is lower. Proportionate up to stock redeemed or amount of redemption, whichever is lower. And if it is treated as a dividend, then FMV or AB of the property distributed, whichever is higher, less liability assumed. That we have already seen into last chapter. The same concept is being applied here. Fine. So if it is a redemption, then proportionate up to stock redeemed or amount of redemption, whichever is lower. And if it is treated as a dividend, then FMV or AB of the property, whichever is higher, less liability assumed. This much amount will be reduced from the ENP of a corporation. Okay, now partial liquidation. What is a partial liquidation? It is having also treatment of redemption. It is considered as a redemption. For a partial liquidation, two tests are to be satisfied. What is that? Objective test and subjective test. Objective test must terminate one of the qualifying business which is operated since more than 5 years, but at least one qualifying business must be continued. It means the person is into too many businesses. Let's say a person is having 3 different businesses which is being continued for more than 5 years. Now out of that, one business is being closed and the remaining 2 businesses are being continued, then that is called as a partial redemption. That is called the objective test. Now what is the subjective test? It should be contraction of the business from the genuine source. It should not be just a sale of extra inventory. See, subjective test means they are talking about subjectivity. Whatever you are treating it as a redemption, it should be actually the closing of the business. It should be actually a contraction of the business. Contraction of business means reduction in the business size. You are owning a 3 business and you are just removing 1 business, then it is considered as a contraction. If you are only selling the inventory, that is not considered as a contraction of business. That is a normal business. So it should be in a genuine sense a contraction of the business, then it can be considered as a partial liquidation. Next, redemption used to pay a debt tax. Shareholder of a closely held company has to pay a significant debt tax on his debt. If a stock is held is a primary asset of the shareholder, that is more than equal to 35% of adjusted gross asset, it is necessary to sell such a stock to pay a debt tax. In this case, the sale will be treated as a redemption. No tax as an adjusted basis raises to FMV on the debt. However, redemption is limited to federal and state debt tax payable and the funeral and admin expenses. So what they are saying, if a person gets dead and on his debt, the debt tax is to be payable. Now, huge debt tax is payable. So, if to pay a debt tax, the property has to be sold, the stock has to be sold, then that sale of stock will be considered as a redemption, which is used for paying the state or federal debt tax. up to the value of state and federal death tax and funeral and admin expenses, it will be considered as a redemption. So just be very clear, because a huge death tax is payable on the death of a person who is holding stock in a personal holding company, or you can say private companies. Next, stock distribution or a bonus share, we can say. No tax on a distribution of stock to the shareholder if he has no option to receive cash or property in lieu of stock. This we have already discussed at the time of individual taxation. When a shareholder is receiving a bonus shares and he is not having the option to receive cash instead of shares, then the bonus is not taxable. It will just adjust the basis of the stock. In case of stock bailout, what is a bailout? Distribution of non-voting stock followed by a redemption leads to dividend income to the shareholder up to ENP. Look at this. Distribution of non-voting stock followed by redemption. Means first you went for the redemption and then you went for the distribution of non-voting stock. Then that will be considered as a stock bailout. And this stock bailout will be treated as an income to the shareholder. Normally bonus distribution, bonus shares is not considered as an income. But if it is a stock bailout, then it will be considered as a dividend income to the shareholder and he has to pay tax on it. And what is a stock bailout? As I told you, first there is a redemption and then there is a distribution of non-voting stock. It will be considered as stock bailout. Okay, next is a complete liquidation. What is a complete liquidation? Similar to redemption, where a shareholder receive a property in exchange of cancelling their stock. The shareholder is giving total stock to the corporation and corporation is distributing the property, that is called as a complete liquidation. See, company is going to be liquidated. So all the stock of a shareholder will be waived, it will be returned to the company and company will pay properties to the shareholder. Treatment for the shareholder in the case of complete liquidation. Gain is to be recognized by the shareholder. How much? FMV of the property less taxes on the liquidation paid by the corporation less liability on the property assumed by the shareholder less adjusted basis by the shareholder. See, he is receiving the distribution. So whatever distribution received from the simple language, I can say FMV of the property received less adjusted base of the stock. Remaining is an extra adjustment like taxes paid or liability assumed. This is going to be reduced. So net is considered as a gain. Gain or loss is a capital gain if it is capital asset for the shareholder. Related party rule do not apply here. You need to consider related party is not applicable. Adjusted base of the property for the shareholder. Whatever property you received from a corporation, what will be AB of it? It is going to be FMV of the property less taxes paid by corporation on liquidation. So simply you can say FMV is considered as AB of the property for the shareholder. Okay. Treatment for a corporation. Gain or loss is equal to FMV of the property or a liability attached, whichever is higher, less AB of the property. That we have already seen when a corporation is distributing a property to the shareholder. What is to be recognized as a gain is FMV or liability assumed, whichever is higher, less adjusted base of the property. Gain or loss to be ordinary or capital or section 1231 depending on the nature of the asset. So whatever asset has been distributed by a corporation, accordingly it will be treated as a gain. Maybe ordinary, maybe 1231 or maybe capital. Loss on distribution of a property to the shareholder owning more than 50% of a stock is not recognized if the distribution is not a pro rata or a property was received by a corporation in a tax-free incorporation or as a capital contribution from the shareholder within 5 years. This being an exception. See, look at this. Loss on distribution of property which is distributed to a shareholder who holds more than 50% of a stock cannot be recognized. If the distribution was not a pro rata distribution, means you are not giving to all, you are giving to a particular shareholder, or the property was received in a corporation by a tax-free incorporation, it was a tax-free incorporation, or it is a capital distribution from shareholder within 5 years, means the shareholder has distributed as a capital distribution to the corporation and corporation distributed the same property to the shareholder within a period of 5 years. This being a situation where loss cannot be recognized by a corporation. Built-in loss. Built-in loss means what? Adjusted basis less FMV on the date of capital contribution. It is called as a built-in loss. Not deductible to corporation if such property is sold within 2 years from the contribution. Decline in the value of property after capital contribution is deductible. Look at this. What they want to say? Shareholder contributed a property to a corporation. When he contributed the property to the corporation at the time, for example, adjusted basis was 5,000 and FMV was, let us say, 4,000. So there is a loss of 1,000. This is called a built-in loss. Now, if the corporation has sold this property for 3,500, so there is a total loss of 1,500, but this 1,000 of loss is considered as a built-in loss. Look at the rule, what they want to say. Built-in loss will not be deductible to a corporation if such property is sold within 2 years. If this is sold within 2 years, then 1,000 of built-in loss will not be allowed to a corporation. Only remaining 500 of loss will be allowed to corporation. So built-in loss provision you need to remember, sold within 2 years of the contribution of the property, that is not allowed. Okay, so this being the rule for built-in loss. Now the next one, that is liquidation of subsidiary. Liquidation of subsidiary. Okay. Distribution of property to a parent company. When a subsidiary is being liquidated, then the property will be distributed to a parent company. The parent company is holding a major stock into a subsidiary. So subsidiary will distribute the property to a parent company. Not taxable to parent or a subsidiary company if the parent owns more than equal to 80% of subsidiary voting and non-voting stock, and the distribution is made to a parent company within 3 years of the first distribution of property by a subsidiary. It means distribution of property by a subsidiary to a parent company will not generate any tax if it is holding more than 80%. And adjusted basis of a property to the parent is equal to carryover basis. That is, ABO property to a subsidiary will be ABO property to the parent company. That's simple. No gain to be recognized, no tax to be paid. Simply AB will be considered as ABO of the parent company. Distribution of property to a minority, that is a remaining other than parent company minority interest. In that case, subsidiary to recognize a gain on distribution but not a losses. Subsidiary has to recognize gain on distribution but loss cannot be recognized. Minority also has to recognize a gain or loss on the distribution. They will also recognize the gain or loss because total stock is going to be returned back to the subsidiary. So gain or loss will be recognized in a normal way as the others distribution is going to be recognized. But remember that parent subsidiary relationship, when a subsidiary is being liquidated, subsidiary to parent company, no gain or loss to be recognized, but subsidiary to minority interest, gain is to be recognized, loss is not to be recognized. So this being a theory for chapter number 8. Now friends, let us see the MCQs of chapter number 8, corporate redemption and liquidation. First, distribution of a property by a corporation to a shareholder may be treated as. So friends, here the question being asked that distribution of property by a corporation to a shareholder may be treated as. When a corporation is distributing property, it can be treated as what? Redemption of stock? Yes, it may be. Dividend distribution? Yes, it may also be. So it can be either of the above. The answer is C option. Next question, question number 2. Which of the following condition must be satisfied for a distribution to be considered as a redemption of the stock? If distribution is to be considered as a redemption of stock, what is the condition to be necessary? Distribution is not essentially equivalent to dividend? Yes, it may be. Complete termination of the stock? Yes, it may be redemption. So either of the above condition will show that distribution is not a dividend but it is a redemption of the stock. Disproportionate reduction mean holding of the shareholder after redemption to be less than 80% of the previous holding and less than 50% of the total stock. Yes, the statement is true. Answer is A option. Next, for a complete termination, the shareholder to surrender the whole of the stock and agree not to buy a stock in a corporation or a controller corporation for how many years? In the case of complete termination, the shareholder has to waive a family attribution by agreement, and in agreement he has to specify that he will not buy a stock into that corporation for next 10 years. The answer is D option. As per a family attribution rule, stock owned by a family member is included in the stock holding of a taxpayer. Family member does not include whom of the following? Which of the following will not be considered as a family member for attribution rule? Child is considered, spouse is considered, sibling is not considered. So C is the correct option. Sibling will not be considered as a family member for the purpose of attribution rule. A is holding a 60% stock in the X corporation and A holds 20% in the Y corporation, while X corporation holds a 40% in Y corporation. How much of holding of A is deemed to be holding into Y corporation? Okay, A is holding into Y corporation. So A is holding into Y corporation 20% is a direct holding, and indirect holding of X into Y will be considered as a. Okay, fine. So 20 is a direct holding, and then X corporation's 40% holding into Y corporation, and A is holding 60% into X corporation. So indirect holding 40 into 60% is equal to 24. So 20 plus 24 is equal to 44%. 44% holding will be considered into Y corporation. Answer is B option. Direct holding as well as indirect holding, both combined together, it will come to 44%. P holds 70% into A corporation, 20% into B corporation, and A corporation hold 35% into B corporation. How much of stock is deemed to be held by A corporation into B corporation? Now A to B. Now we are talking about owner to entity. Now owner to entity is considered as a full holding to be deemed, not to be prorated. It is not to be prorated. Full holding is to be considered as a deemed holding of the corporation. So A to B, A corporation to B corporation, 35% holding is also there, and P's holding into B corporation is at 20%. So 20 plus 35 is equal to 55%. 55% holding will be deemed by A corporation to B corporation. Corporation distributed a property whose AB is 5,000 and FMV is 8,000 to a shareholder. Also, there was a debt outstanding of 500 which is assumed by the shareholder. How much of gain is to be recognized by a corporation? Okay, gain to be recognized by a corporation, FMV 8,000 plus debt assumed, that is 500, less adjusted basis. So it will come to 3,500. So 3,500 is a gain to be recognized. Answer is A. Next, how much of earning and profit to be reduced by a corporation if the distribution is treated as a dividend in the above question? Okay, if distribution is treated as a dividend, then how much of E&P will be reduced? It will be FMV or AB, whichever is higher, less debt assumed. So FMV or AB, whichever is higher, that is 8,000, less debt assumed, that is a 500. So 7,500 is a correct option. When distribution is treated as a partial liquidation, okay, when it will be treated as a partial liquidation? When at least one of the business terminates and which operates for since last how many years? 5 years. Remember the theory? 5 years. The answer is a B option. B is a correct option. As a part of complete liquidation, the corporation distributed investment whose AB is 5,000 and FMV is 6,000, securities whose AB is 3,000, FMV 1,000, and ordinary asset AB 3,000 and FMV 4,500. How much of capital gain or loss is to be recognized by a corporation? Look at the word capital gain or loss. So you need to consider what is a capital asset first of all. Investments is a capital asset, security is a capital asset, but ordinary asset is not a capital asset. So you need to consider only these two. Okay, and the investment, if you see AB is 5,000 and FMV 6,000, so there is a gain of 1,000. And on the security, AB 3,000 and FMV 1,000, so there is a loss of 2,000. So finally, if you check out, net of it will be considered as a 1,000 loss. 1,000 will be capital loss. Answer is a C option. Next, a subsidiary corporation distributed a property worth AB 10,000 and FMV 15,000 to a parent company on a complete termination. How much of gain or loss is to be recognized by subsidiary? Okay, when subsidiary is being liquidated and it is distributing the property to a parent company, you remember the theory, there is no gain, no loss to be recognized on this distribution. So answer is 0 straight away. So these being MCQs for chapter number 8. Now friends, let us see the next one, chapter number 9, that is a corporate reorganization. Okay, what is a corporate reorganization? First of all, reorganization. Reorganization words refers to merger of one company into another company or acquisition of the assets in return of a stock. One company merging to another company is called as a reorganization, or acquisition of assets in return of stock. Means you are issuing a stock and you are purchasing the asset. That is also considered as a reorganization. Shareholders to receive a sufficient shares of a purchasing company. That is a basic condition for a reorganization. If shareholders are receiving sufficient shares, then it is considered as a reorganization. Basically, we are going to look at a different reorganizations. Let's see. Different tax-free reorganizations. In that, first is a type A reorganization. What is a type A reorganization? It includes the mergers or a consolidation. Merger or consolidation. What is a merger? Merger means A target corporation merge into acquiring corporation. Target corporation merge into acquiring corporation. Consolidation means two or more companies merge into a surviving company. Look at this. Merger saying target corporation merging into acquiring corporation, and consolidation says that two companies merge into a surviving corporation. Okay. All the liabilities to be assumed by acquiring corporation, asset as well as liability, both are to be assumed by the acquiring corporation. More than equal to 50% of consideration to be in the form of stock of acquiring corporation, equity or preference, whatever it may be, but this is a basic condition for type A reorganization, that more than equal to 50% consideration has to be in the form of stock. Now, whether it be equity or preference doesn't make any difference. Treatment of gain or loss. Shareholder to defer a gain or loss up to equity share received as a consideration. Look at the word. Shareholder can defer the gain on exchange of an equity stock. However, gain is to be recognized up to boot received. Boot means anything other than equity. If you are receiving anything other than equity from the corporation, that will be considered as a boot, and shareholder has to recognize a gain up to boot received. It means pure. If you are receiving equity as a consideration for exchange of a property, then no gain to be recognized. It can be deferred. But if you are receiving anything other than equity, it will be considered as a boot, and you have to recognize a gain up to boot received. Now, what is the definition of different word? Acquired corporation, or it can be said as a target corporation. It means the company which is being dissolved or which is being acquired. Means the company which is being acquired by the another company is called as a target corporation or acquired corporation. Purchasing corporation or acquiring corporation means the company which is purchasing the business of a target corporation. Let's say A corporation is acquiring a B corporation, then A corporation will be called as acquiring corporation or a purchasing corporation, and B company will be considered as a target corporation or acquired corporation. Surviving corporation means the company which survives after reorganization, survives after reorganization. See, it may happen that one company will be liquidated and another company will come into picture. So the company which will survive, the company which will be continued after reorganization is called surviving corporation. Now the next one, that is a type B reorganization. What is a type B reorganization? Acquiring corporation purchase all the stock of a target corporation. Look at this. Acquiring corporation purchase all the stock of a target corporation, all the shares being purchased. Acquiring corporation to issue only equity stock to a target corporation. Look at this, only equity. In type A reorganization, it was equity or preference, whatever, but here it is only equity. After reorganization, total holding of acquiring corporation to be more than equal to 80% of a total stock. More than equal to 80% of a total stock of target corporation. Target corporation remains in existence after reorganization. Look at this. Target corporation is not going to be liquidated. It will be in existence, means its business will be continued. Okay, type C reorganization. It means acquiring corporation purchases substantial assets of a target corporation. Substantial assets of a target corporation, that is more than equal to 90% of net assets and more than equal to 70% of gross assets. Okay, substantial assets. Substantial asset means what? Means more than equal to 90% of net assets or and more than equal to 70% of gross asset. Net assets means asset minus liability and gross asset means only assets. Consideration payable by acquiring corporation to target to be more than equal to 80% as equity stock only. It means remaining may be boot. So whatever consideration is payable, it should be more than equal to 80% as a equity stock only. Remaining it can be boot. If only liability assumed by acquiring corporation, then it is not a boot. But if other boot plus liability assumed, then both will be considered as a boot received. Look at this. If only liability has been assumed, it is not considered as a boot. But if other boot has been received as well as liability has been assumed, then it will be considered as a boot received. So just be very clear about it. Okay, now type D reorganization. What is a type D reorganization? Parent company to transfer the assets to a subsidiary company in exchange of stock of a subsidiary company. So parent and subsidiary, you are purchasing shares of a subsidiary company and you are giving a property in exchange. Parent company must receive and distribute more than equal to 80% stock of a subsidiary. It can be treated as a parent company as, okay, what treatment can be given? Parent company can give which type of treatment to this stock received? Three treatments are there: spin off, split off and split up. Spin off means Shares of a subsidiary company will be transferred to the shareholders of a parent company. Whatever shares being received, that will be transferred to the parent company shareholders. Split up, it means the parent company transfer the shares of a subsidiary company to the shareholder of against the shares of a parent company. Look at the word. We are transferring the subsidiary company stock to the our shareholder, but against our shares. Means parent company will take back the stock of the own and it will give the shares of a subsidiary company to the shareholders. That is called split off. And third is a split up. Split up means a parent company convert into two new corporation. Parent company convert into two new corporation, means two new corporation will be there. One is a subsidiary, another is a parent company. So it will be like this. So any of the three situation can be happening. Treatment can be given by the parent company depending on their wishes. So it can be spin off, split off, or split up. Type E and F reorganization. Type E and F reorganization, it is a nominal changes like change in the name or change in the state or recapitalization. This is called as a E and F reorganization. Type G reorganization is considered as a bankruptcy recapitalization. Bankruptcy recapitalization means reorganization, you can say recapitalization, you can say that is called as a type G reorganization, wherein everything is being reorganized in the terms of bankruptcy proceedings. So these different types of reorganizations are there, which are called the tax-free reorganization, where wherein it will not be recognized, the gain will not be recognized, it will be postponed, it will be deferred. Now, must follow rules for all the type of reorganization in common. See, actually we seen a different rules for a different reorganization, but certain rules are common for all. Reorganization to be for a valid business purpose only. Look at this. It should not be a tax evasion purpose. It should be a valid business purpose only. Acquiring corporation to continue the business of a target or use significant assets of the target. What they want to say? When you are purchasing assets of a target corporation or when you are purchasing a total business of the target corporation, then the business must be continued or the assets should be significantly used. That should be the purpose of reorganization. Interest of the shareholders to be continued. That is more than 50% of consideration to be stock of the acquiring corporation. At least 50%. At least 50% consideration should be in the form of stock. Then only it will be considered. So these are the common rules which is for any type of reorganization to be applied. Deferral of the gain, which is called as a gain to be postponed. No gain to be recognized by any corporation on any type of reorganization. All the reorganization what we have discussed, type A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in any kind of reorganization, gain is not to be recognized, it is going to be postponed. For acquiring corporation, no gain or loss on the shares issued as a consideration, but gain on the distribution of appreciated property to be recognized by a corporation. That is FMV less AB. And AB of the property, whatever property has been received, the adjusted base of property will be adjusted basis in the books of target corporation plus gain recognized by target corporation. So for acquiring corporation, adjusted base of the property will be adjusted basis of the target plus gain recognized by target. Now for a target corporation, no gain to be recognized on the reorganization, but gain is to be recognized on the distribution of property to the shareholder. The property distribution to the shareholder will generate a gain recognition when there is a difference or appreciation, that is FME minus AB. Now for the shareholders, no gain on the receipt of shares, but gain is to be recognized if the boot is received, that is other than equity, and it will be lower of the boot received or gain realized, the standard formula what we seen from the beginning itself. Gain will be considered as a dividend up to earning and profit, and balance will be considered as a capital gain as for the dividend treatment. Adjusted base of the shares will be adjusted base of the old shares plus gain recognized less boot received. That will be the adjusted basis for the shares. Okay, so this being a treatment of gain for all the three: acquiring corporation, target corporation, and the shareholders. Tax attributes of a target corporation. When the target corporation is being liquidated, then the tax attribute will be transferred to the acquiring corporation. How it will be? Includes the adjusted base of the asset, earning and profit, net operating losses, capital losses, tax credits, carry forward, etc. If a target is liquidated, then acquiring corporation receive all the attributes of a target. As I told, if the target corporation is liquidated, it is ended, then all the attributes will pass on to the acquiring corporation. If target survives, then the attributes remain with the target, but a limited consolidation with the acquiring for attributes. Limited, as like you are doing in the holding subsidiary accounting. Holding subsidiary accounting, the percentage holding is being transferred to the holding and remaining is kept with a subsidiary only. So if it is surviving, then only the proportionate consolidation will happen. E&P of a target merge into acquiring if positive immediately, and if negative it can be used to set off future E&P only. Look at this. Earning and profit of a target corporation will merge with the acquiring corporation, but remember, if it is positive, then it will be merged immediately, but if it is negative, then it will be used to set off the gain in future only. Just be very clear on it. NOL of the target, net operating losses. First year set of limitation, that is earning and profit of acquiring into number of days post reorganization divided by 365. Okay, if there is a net operating loss of the target corporation, it will be used to set off the gain of the acquiring corporation, but proportionate up to number of days. Number of days after reorganization, you have to just make it proportionate, and that much will be allowed as a set off in the current year, then remaining will be carried forward. If there is a significant change in the ownership, that is more than 50% stock in the past 3 years, NOL set off annually is limited to FMV of the stock into long-term tax exempt rate. That is a limit for each year NOL set off. If there is a more than 50% change in the ownership, then only this condition is applicable. Otherwise, only the first year limitation is there. Remaining year you can set off whenever there is a gain. Other type of acquisitions, subsidiary parent subsidiary relationship, as we have already discussed, no gain or loss by any corporation. Tax attributes remain with the subsidiary as it survives. Adjusted basis of the subsidiary's asset remains unchanged. It will remain same as before. Adjusted basis of shares purchased by acquiring corporation will be purchase price. So that is a simply purchase price. You need to recognize the adjusted basis. Section 338 election. Acquiring corporation may elect to report the assets of a subsidiary at FMV by recognizing again. As we seen in the this section only, that adjusted base of a subsidiary's asset will unchanged. Mean it will be adjusted based on it will carry over. But if there is option given, if the parent company wishes, then they can recognize the assets of a subsidiary company at a FMV by recognizing gain. So that is option given to them. Taxable mergers. If a parent company acquires the assets of a selling company recognizes a gain on appreciated value of the property. Adjusted base of the assets of the parent company will be FMV, and excess purchase consideration will be considered as a goodwill, as you can see in the business acquisition. So that happens over there. Fine. So friends, this being the theory for the reorganization, different types of reorganization being happening here, and the treatment of it. Now friends, let us see the MCQs of chapter number 9, that is corporate reorganization. Question number 1, what is required to qualify as a type A reorganization? Type A reorganization, remember type A reorganization, you are purchasing the assets of a corporation in exchange of stock, and you have to issue more than 50% consideration, at least 50% consideration in the form of stock. Now it may be any of the stock, equity or preference, but at least 50% should be stock consideration. So B option is correct, at least 50% to be received as a stock consideration. It may be equity or preference. Which of the following is not true regarding a type B reorganization? Which is not true regarding type B reorganization? A option, all the stock of a target corporation must be acquired by acquiring corporation. Yes, it is true. Only the equity stock to be issued to the target corporation. It is also true. Target corporation must remain in existence after reorganization. It is also true. Any kind of stock may be issued to the target corporation. It is a false. So answer is D option. Only equity stock to be issued. Any kind of stock cannot be issued. Acquisition of a stock in exchange of a equity stock qualifies as a which type of reorganization? Obviously, it is a type B reorganization, as we discussed right now. To qualify as a type C reorganization, how much of the assets must be purchased by acquiring organization? Okay, so in that case, we can say at least 70% of the gross asset and 90% of the net asset, as we have seen in the theory. Answer is B option. To qualify as a type C reorganization, what is true regarding consideration? What is true regarding consideration? At least 80% consideration has to be in the form of equity, remaining can be both. So at least 80% to be equity consideration. Option B is the correct answer. Which of the following is not a kind of type D reorganization? Look at this. Type D reorganization includes the three things: split up, split off, and spin off. So what is not? Spin down, nothing. This type of reorganization is not that, it is just a different word you can see, but spin off, split off and split up is a reorganization in type D. Spin down is not a kind of reorganization over there. So answer is A. Shareholders of a parent company receive the shares of a subsidiary company in the substitution of an existing holding in which type of reorganization? See, what they are saying, you are giving us shares of a subsidiary company to the parent company shareholders, but in exchange of the existing holding. So it is called as a split off. C is the correct option. It is called a split off reorganization. Adjusted base of the acquiring corporation to be. It is a carryover basis. Simply, the adjusted basis will be carried forward to the parent company. It is considered as a carryover basis. So whatever AB was there, it will be continued. Shareholder to recognize a gain on distribution from a corporation equal to. How much a gain is to be recognized? Gain realized or both received, whichever is lower. The answer is D option. Which of the following attribute of a target corporation is merged with the acquiring corporation? Actually, all the attribute is going to be merged. That's why AB of the asset, earning and profit, NOL, all of the above. So all the attributes will be merging with the attributes of a parent company. Parent corporation has a positive earning of 10,000 during 2019, while the target corporation has a negative earning of 8,000 during 2019. How much of income will be reported by a parent corporation? Okay, negative earning cannot be merged for the current year. It will be used for the future year, as you know, friends. So total of 10,000 income of the parent company has to be recognized. Negative earning of the target corporation will be used for the future. So 10,000 of the income has to be recognized. A corporation acquired a B corporation on 1/10/2019. During 2019, A corporation reported an income of 10,000 and B corporation reported a operating loss of 20,000. How much of income or loss to be reported by A corporation during 2019? Now you can see there is an income of 10,000 and against which there is a loss of 20,000 to B corporation, but it should be used proportionately. Proportionately means according to time. Now see, you have acquired on 1st October. So 1st October to 31st December, it is going to be 3 months. So total 20,000 of the loss. And if we just consider a 3-month loss, then it will be 5,000. So 5,000 of the loss will be set off. So net 5,000 income is to be reported. So D option is correct, 5,000 income. As per section 338 election, what is the treatment of the assets by a parent company? What is the treatment of assets by a parent company as per 338? See, normally the assets are carried over at an adjusted basis only, but as per section 338 election, the assets will be recorded at a FMV by recognizing gain. So assets to be reported at a FMV and the gain is to be recognized by the appreciation. So that is A option is a correct option as per section 338 election. So these being MCQs for chapter number 9.
If you like this video, share it with your friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more such videos and learn from our expert faculty members. Press the bell icon to get regular notifications whenever we upload a new video. Download NDI mobile app to get complete CA course online. We value your support. Thank you for watching.